Здравствуйте. В современной жизни буквально за каждым
In a
привычным
modern line, behind every word, gas, oil, electricity, water, power, we have digital technologies, and we are very dependent from this digital world, and we're really vulnerable from it. This year, our country found itself in a very difficult situation in which two important factors played its role. First of all, practically all foreign companies have left Russian market, and second of all, most of industries of our economy are subject to hacker attacks. This is just huge growth of hacker attacks against all types of companies. And our IT specialists in the current situation will have to not just stop and not just slow down these levels of digitalization, but to continue that. But how this can be done? And we'd like to figure out how do we depend on digital technologies, how the modern digital world is built, what might happen in a result of hacker attacks, and who are those IT guys? Are those people who are drinking smoothie, or these are heroes of the modern days? In order to understand how the modern digital world is built, we decided to try to create a program which is called Digital Word. And we are going to speak to well-known people, personalities, representatives of different industries and experts, and together with them we are going to disclose how different areas of our life are working digital words. And the host of this program will be Елена Litvinova and Vladimir Zapolyansky. And Vladimir Zapolyansky, I don't know which camera should I look to. Hello, dear viewers. Let's begin our interesting conversation about the digital industry. And not only that, I will introduce our guests. On the right of me, I have Tatiana Kandelaki. She is the digitalization director in Goznak. It's understandable which industry is going to be discussed today. On the left of me, I have Елена Hanga, journalist and blogger.
Теперь блогер.
Yeah, and blogger now.
Немножко про свой блог
С
расскажете
удовольствием.
тоже. А также с нами сегодня в студии наши эксперты.
And our experts are in the studio, Yaroslav Babinov
Евгений.
and Yevgeny Zubov.
Они нам тоже много интересного
They
сегодня
will also tell us a lot of interesting things to us together. Okay, let's begin. With a great pleasure.
Задам первый вопрос, Лена.
Well, I would like to ask the first question, Lena. What do you know about the Goznak?
Честно, ничего.
Honestly, nothing. Well, when I've heard the words Goznak, I've mixed it with the sign of quality. With the quality sign, yes, something like that. Back in Soviet days, there was a quality sign,
Знак это
or the Goznak, or maybe these could be, like rubles or something warmer to that, Yeah, something cash-like. Yeah, of course, yes. So we need your help. Yeah, the association is a proper one because truthfully, we produce a very good quality protected product, and more than for 200 years, Goznak printing money. We print coins, and Goznak prints all the documents, identification documents, passports, foreign passports, Russian passports, which we use on daily basis. So practically there is no human being who wouldn't have in his bag products by our company. In addition to that, we have a big export market. Approximately 30% of our revenue is export sales, and the level of our products on the global level is also one of the best. And these are our basic products, which we manufacture for more than 200 years. We have our scientific research institute, which constantly develops new technologies, and the level of security of our products globally is one of the best. At the same time, approximately 20 years ago, we started producing cheap passports, NFC passports. In order to speak, well, the word cheap is understandable. The simple NFC chip, yeah. And these foreign passports started to be used by people about 10 years ago. We understood that digitalization is everything to us, and this is the direction of our movement, and we all are gonna be there. And then the decision was made about construction of our first data center in Moscow in the Prospect, and 10 years ago we built our first data center. We are using it both for our own needs and for external clients as well, for the ministries, for funds and commercial clients that we have as well. Last year we have launched the second data center in St. Petersburg. We've built a cloud. Now it works still in a test mode, but starting from the next year, we are going to be developing more faster. And right now we're planning to build the third data center. In addition to everything else, in remaining several years, Goznak started developing in a direction of digitalization. We are the developer and operator of the state information system of the precious stones and precious metal system in our country. So this is a full control over the circulation of all the gold and diamonds that we are carrying and buying with a great pleasure, plus the secondary market processing. And this is a very complicated chain, and it was not really white. There was a lot of peculiarities and gray shades. After implementation of this system, it becomes more and more transparent, and we do believe that by the end of this year, all the stakeholders of the process will be included in the system, because right now we are missing banks and pawn shops, and we actively develop in biometric development. We have very strong technology when by face you can enter anywhere, so a computer will recognize you anywhere. See, there's something that was advised to me not to do, but there is no choice. You are a well-known person, you go to blog and you are recognized anywhere, so it's meaningless not to do it. You just can use it for your own purposes. I think it's going to be the top of biometrics when on the banknotes you will be able to make your own face. Well, the beauty is in the big volumes. Yeah, we can think about it. And we will make a bill for you. But seriously speaking, of course, it's a little bit left, and we will be identified everywhere. And even right now, we can pay in some restaurants to our face. We can go with our face to the metro, and our system was installed for border passage at the Finland train station in Russian railroads. But in the current situations, trains unfortunately are not traveling to Finland. But how it's going to work? Just in a simple language, you go take your passport, you have no body, you attach your passport, you look in the camera, and they say, okay, go through, and you go through. That's it. A human factor is excluded in this process. No difference. No difference. You have a multi-factor story, and we've been checking this. Like I've been correcting my nose shade, and I do see certain changes with my face, but still I go through identification irrespectively to some plastic surgery changes. Yes, I think that after plastic surgery my face have changed a little bit, but camera still has enough of my images, and AI tunes up and still defines that you is you. Yes, of course there's a certain error, and if this error shoots, then there will be another additional person that will look at you. But this is a working mechanism. So by making a very good biometric system, we started thinking about animals. Yes, I think it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Goznak and animals. Where the Goznak and where are the animals? When we are speaking about it, people are looking with great surprise. But honestly speaking, there is no difference at all. They also have the nose like our fingerprint. Nose. Yeah, their nose is like our fingerprint. It's so unique for every animal. And it is as unique as our fingerprint. Yes. Absolutely. There are not two similar noses for animals. That's what I'm speaking about. So this service already works right now. On the legislative level, it's not mandatory. This is a free will of owners, and we've talking about it. So you enter to a place. For you, it's a regular site. You register your animal there, you attach his photo, you introduce the minimal data set about this animal, and your animal will become registered in a database. Then, in the case if your animal will get lost, and any person in the street will take a picture of your animal, download this picture in a database, and you will be found. All Yorks are similar. No, no. Honestly, in the course of this year, more than 3,000 animals were discovered this way. But if this identification is done by the nose, it's a multi-factor: face, nose, and many other facts. It's very complicated. From the technological point of view, it's not simple as that. But big number of animals already have been discovered thanks to this technology. You know, really, lost animals. Is it a paid service? Right now, it is a free service because for us, it's a social project. And I don't think that this is a direct monetization of a search for the animals. There will be direct monetization, but perhaps we are open stock company and we have to earn money. That's why this or that way. This service will provide some additional services and they will be paid. Well, this is fantastic. Well, taking care about animals. But how many people who've been lost, who cannot be discovered? You know, somebody have lost the memory and they've tried to change this person. Yeah. And why they are saying that active information security, and we do cooperate with them. And honestly speaking, yes, maybe we don't want cameras to understand where are you located because we are losing some private life. But instead of it, we definitely get a lot of other advantages. And sitting there and getting disappointed about Big Brother following you, well, they are following us anyway. We communicate with some people and they have the main objective. They will listen to how everything works in Goznak. Then we'll get our understanding and they will say, okay, wonderful. It's going to be broken this way. It's going to be working this way and it's going to be protected this way. Our informational security works perfectly. Of course, we're being attacked from time to time, not without it, especially considering the fact that we are a state public company and current geopolitical situation. Of course, time from time, we are being subject to certain attacks. But the level of our security, I wouldn't call it 100%, nobody would get in, but 99.9%. I would boldly say, because we are resisting to those attacks, everything is reserved and backed up, and your data is safe and it's not going to be lost. What about the medical data? It's also stored somewhere. Yes, we do cooperate with Forms. It is our client, and this data is being placed. If the hacker will have a desire to damage, can he break and post my medical data? God forbid. But nevertheless, medical data into an open access? Well, I think not in our case. And we have those precedents. We didn't have leakages of information from our data centers, ever. We are following this. But, you know, it's like never say no. We do everything to say no. And we have a strong team which is involved in information security. We do pay a lot of attention to this. But. Tatiana, how Goznak looks like compared to similar organizations globally? By the way, how these organizations are called? Well, it depends on which market you're speaking about, because Goznak has a core business, a main business which is related with coins and bill production. And from this point of view, we are top three amongst top three on the market, in the global market. Yes, in the global market. Well, on the Russian market, we are not competitive. Who? Языки для ру. Germans and Deliveroo, and another company, Deliveroo. Well, their quality of coin production and banknote production is very high, but from the point of view of digitalization, we just went in a totally different way. German company went in the direction of analogy of Russian Rostelecom, but we went in the direction of data center, creating new businesses. So we have different way from the point of view of digitalization. We cannot be compared to similar global companies because we have selected different way.
Станут скоро цифровые рубли? Вот Ленин
Are we going to have some digital rubles? Yes, we're going to have digital rubles, so we will be able to. Yeah, we've been speaking about it. Yeah, digital rubles. But it's not. Well, this is a project with big number of different peculiarities. But yes, it will be existed. All the decisions have already been made. Central bank already moves in this direction. So real paper coins and bills will not be needed. We don't think so. We don't think so. But honestly speaking, you understand that we have 150 million, 147 million. So there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us. Most of people live in regions. Moscow, St. Petersburg, it's only 30 million. The level of depth of digitalization outside of a million plus cities is not very deep. So precisely in remote regions, a lot of people will use cash for a long period of time. In addition to that, we all are paranoid from this or other way, and big number of people, they stop using cards because they don't want somebody to see that they are buying something. Well, I bought some meat and I went to the restaurant here, and people actively, even in a circle of their own communications, well, and I will tell you why. The thing is that I was doing, well, my mother-in-law, she's a very elderly lady, and I wanted to do certain blood tests for her. She given her blood with my help, and then blood test came not to me, didn't come to me or to her, but to my husband.
Нет.
Did you have any power of attorney? No. The wrong email? No, somewhere, somehow, I don't know. I think maybe he was doing something in the same company. I don't know. I don't criticize this company. That's why I don't call the name of this company. But somewhere they have seen that either we have some connection there, or my husband, he was driving somewhere. I don't know where he was driving to, but then his penalty came to my account in the state services. We have a similar situation. It's like, what is this? Where you've been? Where you've been? Yeah, and why you've been there. And this is, also digitalization. We can understand those people who don't want to do that. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. I also don't like all this stuff, especially this year. I think the volume of cash has grown significantly because there's no possibility of pay with cards outside of the country. And moreover, people, they don't want to store their money at the electronic accounts. This is always speaking. Every time when any crisis begins, every time you have a peak, people start cashing out, and then after a certain period of time, they are bringing money back. They are afraid to keep them in cash. So it's a permanent story. Of course, when everything has started, everybody started running. I went to have something in the bank and I said, no, I'm leaving. Why? Because it was even impossible to enter it. Well, I know it was, 20 years ago, or even more than 25 years ago in the United States, in some hotels, they did not allow to pay cash, only credit cards. We don't have anything like it. Well, it's too far away from something like this, and these things like that should be adopted on the legislative level. Yeah, abroad, they do have this situation. For example, try to hire a car without a credit card. Well, I would like to discuss how the Goznak is built from the digital point of view. If you will look at how Goznak was working in 1970 when there was no digitalization, how did it work and how it's going to work in 2030 when everything is going to be super digitalized and your dreams will work? This is a valuable question. This is a valuable question. Well, even though I'm responsible for the formation of the strategy, but nevertheless, I can tell you that
Писали.
Last year, we have developed it, we have defended it in the Ministry of Finances, Ministry of Digitalization. Then circumstances have changed around us, and year have not passed. And right now we're sitting here and rewriting it from the scratch. And by the end of the year, we have to defend new strategy. That's why, yes, we are defining it, we are planning it.
Никто не знает.
But nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Well, I will ask it differently. Well, how it was. I don't know. You've been printing money. They've been stamping them. They've been attaching those stamps manually, offset printing. But you want to feel this process how it was previously. And in your dreams, how it's supposed to be. When you own the digital technologies left and right. Yes, of course, this 30, 50 years ago, the manual labor was more than today, because digitalization, this or other way, reduces the necessity of having people on linear operations. Well, it's understandable basic thing. And like in my dreams, well, everything happens by itself and you're just pressing the button and smiling at the output, and that's it. It's just a blue dream, pink dream. Well, you are kind of diluting from my question.
Деньги же будут.
But we are going to have money. Are we going to have money? Well, maybe I will ask it from another angle. For example, you decide no more cash. No. Like 30% of revenue. Nobody will say no to cash. And then on the North Pole, it is located because it's cold and they should not be cooled. No, we are not going to say no to the cash by 2030. From the word completely are not going to. And then considering our load, we are forecasting growth because recently central bank has announced that there will be change in bills. Some bills will be removed from circulation and new bills will be printed. And from our side, we already done all the necessary work in this direction, research and design, R&D. And we are going to have a lot of work because we will have complete replacement of the bills. And we are forecasting that digital will somehow will remove cash in the foreseeable future by maybe 2050 and afterwards, but not by 2030. Not by 2030. We're not going to lose cash by then. Because people are afraid that they are being surveyed, and many people go back to cash. You know, speaking about ourselves, that even in this digital picture that Tatiana have made, I have an application. We all are sitting, we're so good, and Yarik will be a bad guy. Okay, let's agree that Yarik is also a good guy, but you will assume it's us bad. Right? Okay, Yaroslav, he's an ethical hacker, white hacker. So how would you evaluate the security from vulnerabilities? Possibly. Is it possible to hack Gosnag? Is it possible? It's a direct question. I could try. But from all the statements, I was interested by the words about digital money, about digital, because any technology at the moment of its appearance is still changing with time. And not only from the side of technologies, but also from the side of security. For example, when cryptocurrency was created, smart contracts, for example, during first days, they've been discovering a lot of vulnerabilities in many startups and many stock exchanges. They've been suffering because hackers attack them and searching for simple logical errors. So in this case, the same thing might happen. Hackers will definitely be interested because this is digital. This is not something physical. It's much easier for them to get than to some money in the pockets of regular citizens. And perhaps if I would do that, the first thing that I would be interested in would be the digital currency. Okay, I will give you some additional ideas. When I was listening to Tatiana, you know, it's like from the doctor blowers and data center servers, working station, desktops, and I'm thinking about how would I use it in personal purposes? How would you? For the personal purposes, insider who uses no, for the hacking person. For example, I have a big company with big amount of computing capacities. How would I use it for my personal benefit? Well, I've heard what you said, that big biometrical amounts of data are stored. Hackers, if they will break through and will get to this data center where all this information is stored, well, potentially it is possible to delete all this information. Tatiana, can you tell me, please? We have the backups, but how well it's distributed? It's well distributed.
Не вышло.
Okay, okay,
Если
all right.
эпизодов, то
Нежненько так.
If you have big number of data centers, why they wouldn't be all?
Да, вы прям задели за больное.
You have tackled the painful points. We are a state company.
Я бы, может быть, лично и поймаю.
I would personally mine it. I would mine it, yeah, personally, but we cannot act against the legislation. We don't have legal framework which would permit the state company to start mining cryptocurrency. Yes, there is a Federal Law 259 around the digital signature, and we do have a number of activities in this direction. However, I think that in this direction we're going to have products related to this. But before we are going to have a legal framework, we're not going to do anything like it. No mining. No matter how I want it.
Что хотел сказать? Ну, там Ярослав подсвечивает правильные вещи.
Yaroslav speaks about right things, and you know it's very hard to leave. And when you leave with digital technologies, it's even double as difficult. Well, I understand how Yar is thinking, and when I will be thinking about how do I defend my infrastructure, with most of the assumptions that I have, I will guess what Yaroslav would do. And specifically, if you will speak about technologies of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, this is a beautiful example which refers to the event where we are located, the standoff. What really happens in the real world? And I'm speaking about the trust to modern technologies and what is trust and why do we want for technologies to be trusted. We have a platform which any technological company can bring their own development and understand how well it is protected. Can it be broken? And when we come to different manufacturers and they say, okay, please bring your driverless car or your drones, which afterwards will deliver mail, they will say, okay, we will deliver them to you, and maybe they will find vulnerabilities in them and we will not be able to push them in the market. So their trust is so that people wouldn't know. But I think it's totally different. I want to know everything. Will I put my daughter in the driverless taxi if I will know that Yaroslav Babin and Sasha Morozov will not be able to cause lethal damage to this car? So as for the cryptocurrency and digital ruble technologies, welcome. We have a platform. Bring your technologies which will provide this business process here and will show you what really can happen with it. But on the other side, it's going to be simpler for us to defend it in future. If we believe American movies, it's impossible to protect anything. We've seen so many movies with cryptocurrencies, when the first password, the second password, and then suddenly, well, you lose $1 billion. You know what is the specifics of these movies? Hackers, they pressed buttons so fast, but they forget to press the space bar. Yeah, they never press the space bar. You know, never press the space bar. How many symbols? Yeah, 4,000 symbols a minute, but such a shit comes out of it.
работа хакера, она абсолютно...
And the work of hacker, it's not like that. He's not sitting and presses a lot of buttons with such a speed. You know, the work is to think for a week and then invent a potential vector of penetration into a certain company or some application that he's trying to break. Well, Yaroslav, I would like to add to what would I do? Would I be on the side of this clever fraudster? I wouldn't do anything blindly. I would search the materials of state competitions of Goznak. I would speak with former employees that have been working with there. Maybe there are some offended people. Yeah, there could be some offended employees. Well, with happy employees, yeah, I would speak with happy employees, how to make them even more happy. And preliminary, I would collect some preliminary information, which systems are used, which servers are used. And this is a public information. Unfortunately, Goznak cannot hide it. It used to be public until recently. Yeah. But let's say that we're not Goznak, and I would place this in my lab. I would do the research, and then I would make only one powerful impact to penetrate into infrastructure and then stay unseen there. But can you be discovered after this is done? Yes, he can be discovered, and we will find him. I know his personal mobile phone.
А тут я хотел вам сказать еще одну
And
новость в том, что
there's another good news is that we also know about this, how the criminals are acting. And there are two things here. In the infrastructure, which provides the life cycle of the business processes, there are well-known vulnerabilities and unknown vulnerabilities. Well, well-known vulnerabilities, we know how to fight. Industry knows how to fight.
для этого оборудования
Using the special equipped system, find them and remove them. And this complicates the life of criminals. But those systems which we don't know about, those vulnerabilities that we don't know, as I've told you previously, let's research them. And there's a big community, there are special services for that, to find these vulnerabilities and to protect you properly from them. So from one side, it's difficult to live, but on the other side, the industry knows what is to be done. But, we have to get together and do it better. So the conclusion is what? What is the conclusion? What we will recommend to Lena? Should she be afraid or not be afraid? Well, I know Elena more than 1 hour,
в глазах там
and in her eyes, I see trust to modern technologies. At least I was able to lift it a little bit. So I would like to call you. Please don't be afraid. And Vladimir has my mobile phone. You can give me a call.
Давайте вот Елену послушаем. Как это сейчас?
Okay, let's listen to Yelena. How does it look right now? All this topic that we discussed right now, what was the biggest unexpected situation in respect to what the Goznak is doing, and the least or the most nice surprise from what you've heard from the experts? Well, I've just learned what is Goznak and how many different things you're doing and how many things you accumulate within yourself. It's dangerous to accumulate in one organization, because when you have everything in one organization, you have to be atomized. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. However, it's fantastic. And for people like me, amateurs like me, we don't know things like that. As for respected hacker, white hat hacker, as I understand, this is wonderful that you do search for vulnerabilities, and then with help of your discoveries, we can make life safer on the side of Goznak. And you cannot hide from this, but the fact that everything is absolutely being put into the digital world scares me away. I will tell you that, well, in the internet, like, I'm searching for something, I don't know, like, for example, bra. Well, I've looked and I forgot about this bra, but next day, they already have made me the offers, advertising of this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and you're like, you wanted to search next day about the sicknesses and say, oh, God forbid, because somebody follows you, and then they give you all this advertising about this bra when I don't need it, and maybe sometimes you even think about it, and yeah, not thinking, but when you say it, For example, on YouTube, my teenager watched some video and left. Well, he thinks that, and then I get such strange recommendations on my YouTube. I said, like, well, I'm never interested in this thing. But then I figured out that my teenager was looking at it, and you constantly leave some digital trace behind yourself. So I don't really like it. And yes, of course, electronic diaries, electronic diaries, and this is some intrusion into your private life. I'm not speaking about medical records, which also can be used against you, but, well, you cannot hide from it. You just have to be at peace with it, and you have to post minimum of it. Well, we are mixing the pains, all the telemetric information that is collected about you is to target advertising for you, but on the other side, there's a lot of different services which use this information to follow your health condition, to tell you what should be changed in your ration. But you should buy a watch like that. This is our choice, because we want to live in this digital world. If you want to live with this watch, so that watch would know a lot about you. And this is my choice. I live like that, irrespectively to anything. But when I'm being called on a mobile phone and somebody asks me, have you entered there and there and there? And I'm afraid to say the word yes, because I've been warned. They ask stupid questions to which I say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. They're recorded, and then they use it against me. And then I come to my bank, I sit in front of my advisor or teller, and he tells me, I need to record your voice, and I understand that my voice already could be used. I'm not saying that I'm a public personality and you can hear my yes, no every day on the TV. I'm not going to tell you where you can hear it. But, Helena, you also have a news network in Vkontakte. Do you face this situation on a daily basis? Can you tell me, please? Well, this is not really nice. I'm giving interviews, and it is very important for me that this is done by me. I control what I do in Vkontakte, but they are copying my sites, and not only my sites, and many other stars and well-known people. They're copying their sites and they're using them against them. So how can I fight against that?
Исключительно вопрос так называемого
It's exclusively a question of security awareness or digital hygiene and understanding of you as a specific individual person can see the difference between normal page from not normal page. Very often you can look at the line with the address of this page and one letter can be replaced or one symbol can be replaced, and
направленные на
you will be redirected to the page
любезно называют там фишинговый,
which
да?
called phishing page. So you're being fished. So here,
В цифровом мире,
here in digital and non-digital world, but at the same time you're buying some product and it says even the airplane, you buy the tickets to the airplane, you give your data and they request from you this and that and you paid, but then you figure out that you paid to somebody else.
Купил билеты на...
Yeah, just recently I bought tickets to theater. Yeah, it's better than not to Thailand. I bought normal tickets and I've passed through these tickets, but I figured out that I double paid.
Володь,
I paid twice more.
вчера,
Just yesterday, I've been reading the mail that Mosru and Sergei Simonovich have sent me a link. Please go to the public poll and how you are adequate about current digital situation. 9 out of 9. I was good. I was good.
но вопросы правда ценные, и
But the
некоторые
questions are valuable. And I think that some of them are not really basic one. Well, can I have a rational proposal for the Goznalka? You can allow yourselves to
ликбез.
do some
Как я много.
additional training because there's a lot of people like me, and if there are people like 60 plus, definitely they understand nothing about it because to understand how our people can learn about this, I don't know, because it's not being taught in schools. In universities, if it's not a specialized university, it's not being taught. And right now in state services, they say you should do this and this. But how will you do it if you don't understand it, if you are not in this digital world?
Много разных.
Well, there is a lot of different training programs, courses. Where are they? And Ministry of Digital Development, but where are they?
Доходит до
But
этого.
it's not being delivered to the end population.
Тогда точно каждый
Yeah, it should be printed on every banknote. Yeah, some tips.
Хотя я
Well, not on the banknotes, but I will ask her some creative idea.
То, что, как Женя
So
правильно
together, like Jenny has properly said, that it's better to know.
Елены,
The same request Yelena has, that we need to teach. We should teach people so that people would be aware rather than being unaware about it. It's definitely, like they say, lady, you should take care about your female health, this and this. Previously, we had mandatory dispensarization and women did they want it or they didn't want it, they did it. Right now, there's no dispensarization. That's why many people, they forget about their diseases because they don't go and don't check themselves. But how they will figure out if there is no dispensation and they are not made to go to the hospital. Same thing here. If there is no mandatory learning and you are not speaking this digital language, then how can you learn and enter this world?
Вы очень правы.
Well, I understand that you're absolutely right, and Ministry of Digital Education does have a lot of programs, but most likely it's not reaching the target audience. I will give it to my colleagues. I will tell my colleagues that they should have more targeted
заключительный
address.
вопрос. Вот,
I have the final question to you. That's it? Final question?
бах, и
Well, digital world is very fast.
ваши айтишники.
So, your IT people,
Кто это такие вообще?
who are
Опишите
they?
их. Может быть, вы их как-то
Please
метафорически
describe
опишете,
them.
да?
Maybe you can describe them metaphorically. Okay, guys and a white horse.
Что-то на грани
Well,
никого
this
не
is
слышно.
something on the threshold. I don't want to offend anybody,
Да-да-да, это такие
but everybody have looked at these guys. These are semi-autists.
какие-то такие настоящие.
some unreal people, you know, some advertised IT guys. They took them, they dressed them well, and they're like that. But really, those guys, they're not even looking in your eyes. They live in their world 24/7. They live in this screen. Nobody's interesting to them. They are with themselves. They are cycled inside of their work, and they basically don't have any personal life. That's what I think of them.
Нет.
At least that's what's being shown in the movies. No, they're not like that. But being honest,
Безусловно, айтишники
being
очень
honest,
разные.
because IT people are different. Yes, these are girls and boys, thin and thick, doing sports and non-doing sports. These are different people, and they are people.
Что их объединяет,
But what
это
unites them
гибкость мышления.
is flexibility of their thinking. They all have very lively brain. They can change their thinking differently. They can think differently, and for them,
Для той части, которая, с
at
которой
least for that part that I communicate with, for them, result is very important of what they do. They have involvement.
Задать такой вопрос.
Can I ask another question with an example? I was in a company with some IT guys, 40 plus, and they have a daughter. She's in the 8th grade, and he says, you know, my daughter, she's a good artist, so I take her from school so that she would enter the IT world. She would make an IT design for game design. I say, okay, sorry, if she's an artist, she should go to this school. We have beautiful Stroganov school and higher education. He said, no way. For the IT guys, it doesn't matter which higher education you have,
Ты за эти 5 лет
because in the course of these 5 years, you will get a lot of unneeded information in university. But out of home, she can take courses of what she needs exactly. She can get connected to Harvard courses, MGU courses, and other universities, and she will get very concentrated, necessary education and knowledge. That's why during our days, higher education for IT people is not necessary, not mandatory. What would you say about that?
зависит от.
I think everything depends on things. For example, we don't take people without higher education. We just don't hire
Я
them.
понимаю, что там ряд других
Yes,
компаний
I understand that number of other companies and startups, they don't care.
позицию
But for the position, for example, if I will take a child from the school, he will not, she will not get higher education. And this is my private opinion. I'm looking negatively because
образование это же не
higher education is not always something applied. This is about width and breadth of thinking, and life is changing. And who could say probably about 30 years ago that
айтишников будет.
the need in IT will be like that? 30 years ago, nobody would say that.
Вот она сейчас не получит
And
высшее
right now, if she's not going to get higher education in 10, 15 years, 20 years from now, the world will change drastically once again, and she will go and get this higher education when she's 40.
В то же время у нас
посмотрите
другой
на-
опыт.
At the same time, we have another experience, you know. What is being done by modern neural networks, the designer profession will be forgotten. They give such interfaces and such pictures that human brain
Он не сможет такого придумать.
will not be able to invent something like this, to make it up. Why are you saying this? I'm saying that higher education should be received right now.
Высшего образования.
Well, we have a lot of guys without higher education. I'm not speaking about you. I'm speaking about those hackers. Those hackers.
Нет, я тоже не получал высшего, не горжусь этим, но
I'm not proud of non-receiving higher education, but it didn't stop me from building a career in cybersecurity. Why didn't you get it? Because I was involved more in work than in learning. So you've been making money.
уже давно занимаюсь информационной безопасностью.
Information security I do since 2008, and I've been doing it since high school. And when I went learning for cybersecurity, my knowledge was much higher than university would give me. But Tatiana properly said,
Больше про широту.
this is more about the breadth and width. And right now I'm facing this situation. For example, I don't have some basic knowledge in history because I didn't get them back in history, back in time.
пример очень
And I can make you an example from my life, and practically it will make you think. Very early, I started my business. Very successfully, I was making money, first education. In parallel, I've received a second degree, and then my mother says, you need to do the MBA in MGIMO. Oh, we have MBA. I'm saying to her, okay, why? What are you going to teach me? I have big business. I have everything in life. You don't know where you're going to be in 20 years. I thought that maybe mom is a smart lady, and I went to do this MBA. And when
жизнь поменялась.
10 years after my life changed, I've lived abroad and I came back, and then I was doing not my own business, but I started working for as a hired person.
Тупо
I,
человек с двумя
I clearly understand that person with 2 higher educations and MBA cost one set of money, and person without higher education and with one costs totally different money.
чтобы подумать,
And this is just about thinking about yourself ahead. Maybe at 20, when you're 20, you don't really understand those things, but you should have your parents next to you who will tell you, there are basic things which you just have to do, and possibly at one day it's going to help you. And I'm looking at this like that. Very good answer.
С тем, что это
I will
скорее
agree
общекультурный уровень.
that this is just a general level of culture. You understand wider the world around you,
Когда перочинный нож.
and nobody knows when you will need this knife.
Как все устроено. Так,
And this is about learning how it works, and this is like what it's you need to learn how it's built, and education helps us in understanding this world around us.
Что?
закругляемся?
Да, но для меня
Is it the end?
большой
Well,
неожиданностью было
to me,
то,
a
что
big
связано
unexpected situation was the dog-related discussion related with data processing center,
с,
data centers, and with the gold,
вы все контролируете.
which is controlled by you
Минфин
completely. Well, Ministry of Finances controls them, but we have created the system, and we are the operator of the system. The Ministry of Finances controls it. Helena, I would like to ask you,
Понятен рассказ, как
how do you understand the conversation about how the Goznak is built from the point of view of digital technologies? Well, it's very clear. I understand that you really went to the real button, and if it wouldn't be me, other person would use more educated terms. But thank you very much, and I think that for people like me, and there's majority people like me, it was really entertaining, and I've learned more about Goznak. For the first time, I've understood that it's an interesting sphere where you should send teenagers to get practical experience, and maybe they will get interested. Thank you very much for your questions. And I also came with several useful conclusions that I will deliver to my colleagues. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We've been speaking about Goznak, about data centers, cats and dogs, and about gold, and how criminals can use resources, digital resources of Goznak. On one side, digitalization simplifies our life, makes it more convenient, more comfortable. But on the other side, it opens additional possibilities, which from the very beginning may be unclear. Additional possibilities for the criminals, and this is like two flows, one against another. It's a double-sided road. So in my perception, life will not become simpler. It becomes simpler on one side, on the other side, it becomes more complicated. But there's a lot of discoveries related with digitalization of Goznak. Thank you very much for telling me this. Thank you all.